Not everybody knows Rear Admiral Grace Hopper, but I assure you, everybody who uses a computer, everybody who codes, everybody who understands what a bug in software means, knows Grace Hopper. Grace Hopper was a tiny woman in the run-up to World War II. She wanted to join the Navy. She was too small, didn't have enough weight. She went out and ate steak and drank milkshakes for 3 months to put on enough weight to join the Navy. Very determined. More importantly, she had a PhD in mathematics. This is back in the late 1930s. And she was somebody who could apply that brilliant mind of hers to the very early days of computing. She pulled the Navy into the computer age during the Second World War. She went on to become a Rear Admiral, and eventually she taught at Annapolis, where I had the fortune to take a class from her. I'll never forget her. In those years, she must have been in her 60s, service dress blues, always impeccably attired, and always willing to spend time to help us learn how to write code. I learned from her how to write BASIC, COBOL. She was often known as the mother of COBOL. She was somebody who had an immense curiosity for the world. And, you know, if you looked at her, a woman, a very small figure, somebody who came from a very distant time in a certain sense, you would think, how can she connect to these midshipmen in the 1970s? We loved her. She was a terrific innovator. She brought real diversity to our midst, and she was someone I think of constantly. Whenever I am reaching to innovate, I think to myself, how would Admiral Hopper have done that? Hey, final thing. Today, she sails the ocean as a U.S. Navy destroyer, a guided missile destroyer, USS Hopper, which has participated in operations all around the world. I hope Admiral Hopper is looking down on her ship and knowing how much she meant to the Navy and to all of the individuals like me that were lucky enough to be touched by Grace Hopper. Let me add a thought on diversity from my own experience. When I was a 4-star admiral, there was a young 1-star woman admiral named Michelle Howard. Michelle happens to be African American, so she brings a lot of diversity into everything she touches as both a woman and African American in a male-dominated profession of the U.S. Navy. When I was a 4-star admiral, 1-star admiral Michelle Howard was assigned to me, and I had a chance to see her and follow her operational skills at sea. She was tasked as a 1-star with the rescue of Captain Phillips. Perhaps you've seen that movie. It's an extraordinary story of a merchant ship captured by the Somali pirates. And the captain, Captain Phillips, is being held hostage. Michelle Howard was the 1-star admiral in command on that scene. And the way she was able to knit together all of the naval forces to bring about that rescue was just a joy to watch. She put together the destroyers, the big amphibious command and control ship where she was embarked and flying her flag. Above all, the SEALs, who are the ones that would finally rescue Captain Phillips. Tom Hanks plays Captain Phillips in that movie, and there's a wonderful scene of Admiral Howard, 1-star Michelle Howard, taking charge, delegating command and control, executing that mission, rescuing Captain Phillips. It's a remarkable moment, and it's a good example of how diversity brings different ideas, different points of view, and can ultimately lead to real success. Here's the postscript. A few years later, Michelle Howard became the first woman to be a 4-star admiral in the United States Navy. She had a brilliant career, and everywhere she went, like Grace Hopper, she brought not only her talent, her skill, her humanity, but she also brought that sense of diversity, of different perspectives, given her own background, much like Grace Hopper experienced. All organizations, my beloved Navy, higher education, finance, a place like Carlisle, we have to continue to invest in diversity. It's the right thing to do, but it also makes very pragmatic sense when you look at results.